Welcome to the Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Denton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey. The Moms I Know is your go-to source for motivation, inspiration, and resources, and real conversation about motherhood and parenting with intention. Thank you for being a part of our community. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Welcome to the Moms I Know, and today we are speaking with Toni-Ann Mayembe, and I am so excited to have Toni-Ann with us today. She is a mother, and she has a great podcast and blog, and I'm going to let her tell you all about herself because she has so many facets to this whole journey that I want you to hear it directly from her. So welcome, Toni-Ann.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it. So I am Toni-Ann Mayembe. I am a wife and a mother of two little ones. I also am a full-time dentist and a reservist in the Navy. And then on top of all of that, because I guess I have nothing else to do, I have a podcast and community called Real Happy Mom. And Real Happy Mom just helps busy working moms deal with the overwhelm so that they can live true, authentic lives and get the practical tips that they need to do all of that. So that is all the things that I'm a part of and a little bit about me. And fun fact is I love WWE. Everyone always looks at me crazy when I say that because they're like, you are totally not the demographic, Toni-Ann, but definitely one of my favorite things to watch and get entertained by is watching some wrestlers jumping off the top rope.
Well, so listeners, you see why I asked her to introduce herself because, and I just love the fact that you have all of these things going on, and yet you are helping other busy moms really find some strategies that help them to cope, I guess, with the challenges of motherhood. And what's so interesting is in the work that I do, I'm finding that whether we are working in the home, outside of the home, part-time, full-time, whatever the arrangement is, whether one parent is staying home with the kids, whether both parents are working, everyone is stressed out these days. Everyone is overwhelmed. Everyone's plates are full to the limit and beyond. And so we are seeing stress become such an issue for our physical and mental health. And so I think that, you've managed to find a balance for yourself. So I'd love to talk today a little bit about your journey. I mean, how did you come to realize that you needed to help other moms with this?
Yes, that is a really good one because it didn't always start out like this, Maria. It actually started, honestly, right when I had my second son. I had this itch inside of me. I was like, I want to do something new, something big, something awesome. And I thought that big, awesome thing was starting my own dental practice. And so in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to start this business and people are going to search for a dentist online. So I want when they search for someone, I pop up. So I thought it would be a good idea to have a blog or a website out there to build up that SEO. And for people who are not familiar with that, that's just the search engine optimization. And that is basically just getting Google to like you so that you'll be up there on the top of the charts when people search. So that was my thought process. It was like, okay, I'm going to start this blog and people are going to search and they'll find me. And then that will help get new people into the office. But long story short, started the blog. It was a dental blog and didn't start the practice, found out that was not what I wanted to do after paying a consultant a lot of money. And I actually had a podcast interview with this woman and it was so much fun. And I saw what she was doing and how she was helping others. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of talking about teeth all day. I want to help moms because I know when I first became a mom, I thought a lot of the problems that I had were unique to me. Like only Toni-Ann deals with this. No one else deals with this. And I found out that none of the problems I had were unique to me. Like these were common problems that moms were having. And the biggest one was losing my identity in motherhood. I had totally put myself into just being a wife and a mom that I completely forgot who I was. So literally it took one day when I went to work, I had a conversation with a colleague and he was like, what do you like to do for fun? And I was like, I don't know. And that was my wake up call that, okay, something's off. You don't even know what you like to do for fun. And so that's when I started doing my inner work. And when I did that, it led me to some other moms. And like I said, I realized that this is not a common problem that happens to a lot of moms. And so that's why I was like, okay, we're going to start something to help these other moms out, to see that they are not like how I was thinking that, oh, no one else goes through it. No, you're not the only one. And we got some practical things that can help you with getting out of that. And then also too, with doing some of that work for myself, I found systems and routines have been my life-saving here as far as trying to manage all the things, because I think a lot of times we think we have to do all of the things and we don't. And the way that we can do better about letting some of those things go is if we have those routines and systems in place so that other people can help us, but we also know that we have a routine going so that things are constantly getting taken care of. So you don't have to feel overwhelmed trying to get all the things done at one time. So that's kind of what led up to me starting Real Happy Mom and has been the inspiration behind it all.
Wow. I love this journey because, I mean, as a dentist, you're helping people, but then you realize that you're hearing these common threads. And so one of the things that, when I work with moms, and we're parenting much more in isolation than we used to. I mean, it used to be that you had, the extended family. We lived in smaller communities and we didn't travel as much. And so we had the support of all of these other moms, or, the aunties, the grandparents, the neighborhood moms. And now we're much more in isolation. So we think, like you said, that this is unique to me. And so that's so important that you are supporting those other moms and helping them, just as you realized, oh, this is not unique to me, that now you're helping other moms do that. You talked about systems and routines. And one of the things I love is that, you said the word, we can let go of some things, because that's another thing that I see is that whether it's social media or whether it's this expectation that we put on ourselves that we have to do everything perfectly. And so you said systems and routines, but you also said, so we can let some things go. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and what you have implemented.
Yeah. So the biggest thing, Maria, for me is I am really trying to simplify motherhood for myself, because I think at least when I first got started, I was trying to be and do all the things and it just doesn't work, especially when, you have so much going on. If you're working, like you were saying, in or out of the home, you're managing the kids and their extracurricular activities, your significant other and their events and whatnot. It can get to be a lot. And I think a lot of times we will put a lot of things on our plate that aren't necessarily fulfilling us and we don't really even care about. And so the first thing I did, honestly, was start to eliminate the things that like really weren't serving me. Like, I don't have to be at every event that they have at the school. Like, I don't like it. I'm sorry for all the moms that do like it. I'm proud of you. That is awesome, but I don't like it. So I had to let that go.
Confessions. That is so funny. Yeah.
Yes, I had to let all that go and stop trying to be the quote unquote perfect mom and be what my version of what a good mom is. And so, one, letting go of all the things that I don't really care about or don't fulfill me. And then two, getting really clear on what is truly important to me. And so once I was able to identify that, then I was able to start to set up routines to make sure that I'm doing those things that are really important, because you can say that, your family's important to you, or, spending time doing a hobby is important to you. But if you don't have time set up to do those things, then those things won't get done. And so, I know for me, it's easy to get really deep into work and be like exhausted from work and not spend the time that I want to with my kids individually and as a family together. But I specifically set up certain routines in the day so that I'm making sure that I'm getting that time with them. I'm having that alone time. And I'm also making sure that my house isn't a wreck and it doesn't burn down in the process. So that's kind of the thought process and how I got to really getting into the whole systems and routines.
So I love that you also talked about the things that you don't care about that you could let go. And, I was laughing at your true confession there about the school things. I didn't go to all the sports things. My son actually said, Mom, you don't have to come. And I was like, fine. And so realizing that our kids don't need us hovering all the time with everything they're doing. They want the recognition and the awareness that we are respecting what they're doing. But yeah, we don't need to be at every event, every game, all of these things. We can drop them off when we know they're with these other trusted adults doing things that are so worthwhile. You also talked about, I want to go back a little bit, the identity. And I've talked with so many moms that were not quite prepared for how consuming motherhood would be and how we would lose, ourselves. And so one of the things, simplifying is one of my 10 essentials of parenting, is letting go of the things and simplifying just our entire life. But also when I talk about self-care, I talk about a joy list and, having moms write down, like the 10 things that they love to do that don't cost anything. And then the 10 things that they love to do that do cost something. And, how can we bring in those no cost every single day and maybe the cost once a month or whatever you can afford. And so I'm wondering if you have some tips around, helping moms rekindle those things that make us uniquely who we are.
Yes. That's a good one. Because remember when I was telling you the story about how, that colleague of mine asked me what I like to do for fun, and I was like, I don't know. So what the biggest thing to help with, one, getting back into that so that exactly who you are and what you like to do is just identifying what you did before you had the kids. I think a lot of times we forget that there was a time before the kids when you used to have fun, you used to go out, you used to do things. And I think we let those things go. And those are the things that really light us up. And it's hard sometimes to, I guess, incorporate all of those things that we used to do, especially with having the kids around. But there's some ways that we can still do that. And it's really, for me, it was going back and thinking, okay, what did I do before the kids? And that was, for me at that time, it was dancing, because I used to dance on the dance team in high school and college. And also, it was doing like crafts, because my mom is a very crafty woman and I've kind of inherited that genetically from her, and I love doing crafty stuff. So once I figured out, okay, those are the things that I like to do, then I was able to slowly start to incorporate those things, because honestly, Maria, I felt like if I'm not doing things that I enjoy and that make me happy, then I feel like I'm kind of a shell of a person. Like I'm just here, but I'm not really living. And that is not a real way to live. And so really taking some time to think about what you did before the kids. And then if you're like really struggling and you're like, Toni-Ann, like, I don't know, like I would say just trying things, because that was another thing that I did too, was just literally just like going and trying new things. So the reason why I knew I had that genetic ability with the crafts from my mom is because I just started trying things, literally got on, oh my goodness, I'm having a mental block here. But I use this app that just has a bunch of different courses and things that you can just try out. So I tried doing some cooking classes. I tried doing some things for business. I tried doing some other crafts. I got my Cricut, started playing with that guy. Like I just started trying new things. And the more you try stuff, the more you'll figure out, like, I really don't like that. Like I know that I didn't like doing some of the stuff outside. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just eliminate that and we'll do some of the other things that were inside. And then that's how I was led to start some of the craftier projects. So really just try things until you figure it out. And eventually you're going to find it. You'll find it for sure.
Oh, that's great. And this whole concept of trying to do it all at once too. But so many of the things that we either did before or that we're going to start trying, we can do with our kids, with our families. And so I'm thinking, we started all kinds of new things when the kids came along that I had not done before, but we explored them as a family. I mean, we started raising animals. We started going on amazing family trips. And so there's the things that you can do together, but then there's also those things that you want to make sure that you get that time for yourself alone. And that you recharge, because, there's that saying about, when mom's okay, everybody's okay. And so we need to make sure we're recharging. My mom has a quote also, and she says, you can have it all, just not all at once. And so she also has looked at like the phases of our lives. And so, maybe when the kids are really young, we're not going to be taking as much time for ourselves as we did before, because they need us. but we're going to try to sneak in little things. But as they grow, we can incorporate those things in more and more. And then, you know, when we were all grown, my mom went back and had an amazing career. And so, you know, looking at the phases of our life too is so important to think about. So I love everything that you've shared. And I'm wondering if you have people who have inspired you along the way.
Yes, lots of people, lots and lots. Especially once I got started doing the podcast, I really met some amazing women who really were helpful in breaking things down, not only for my guests, but or for my audience rather, but also for me. And there are a couple of moms in particular that really, really helped. And I am going to get you some links so that you can include those to some particular podcast episodes.
Great.
But the biggest ones, the one that's coming to mind right now is Catherine, and I cannot think of her last name, but Winter Celery. That's what it is, Catherine Winter Celery. She actually did TED Talk, all this wonderful, great stuff. Woman is amazing. Let me tell you, when she breaks down parenting, I'm just like, okay, like this is easy. Like I can do this. So she is one of the big ones that really helped me. And then also too, like just seeing some of the other moms in my community too as well, just seeing how just patient they are with their kids and with the people in their lives. I was just like, okay, like I can do this. Like it's okay. And I think that's a big thing too, is that you were mentioning earlier about how we don't have that community that we used to have before, where moms are feeling isolated. And that's one thing that I know that I was missing too, is having that community. But once you see other moms and you'll see like, they're not perfect either. Like they mess things up. Their house is a mess. There's laundry everywhere. Like it's okay. And I think that, you need to see some other moms so that you know, like you are doing a good job, because I think a lot of times we get in our heads thinking like, oh no, I didn't get this done and I didn't do that. But honestly, like if you're listening to this podcast, you're a good mom and you're doing an awesome job. So I'm just wanting to put that out there. But I think we need to see other people to remind ourselves, like, we don't have to be, you know, the perfection. Like we're doing great as we are. And they can also inspire you too on, you know, some of the other parenting things, or just managing your household so that you don't feel so overwhelmed. But yes, Catherine is my big one as far as parenting. She's my big one for
I'm so glad
inspiration.
I'm glad you mentioned her. We actually interviewed Catherine. I love her. And so we've got a podcast episode with her around conscious parenting, and she's fabulous. So, the other thing in terms of these other moms, you know, just hearing from other moms, and we realize if we're just looking at sort of this image that we have in our head or that we're seeing out in the media or whatever, or, you know, looking at another family down the street and thinking they've got it all together, you know, we don't know what goes on, but it's when we really open up and are honest with each other and say it to each other, you know, I messed up and I did this and, you know, I'm not proud of it, but I was able to come back to my kids or my husband or whoever and say, I'm sorry and I'm going to try harder. You know, it's about the striving, not the perfection. And so I think that you really address that so beautifully. And so I think we need to break down this myth of the superwoman and realize that we don't have to do it all at the same time. We don't have to do it perfectly. We can delegate. We can let go of things. We can ask our kids to help out. I see so many families where, you know, if mom's trying to do everything, then, you know, we were talking about this earlier, then the kids don't get the opportunity to learn for themselves. And so many different ways we can look at this. But I just appreciate so much everything that you've shared. Before we kind of wrap this up, is there anything else that you want to make sure that our listeners hear?
Yes. The biggest thing I really have been pushing out is that you are doing a good job. And I think that we don't hear that enough. And the reason why I wanted to tell you who are listening, yes, I'm talking to you, that you're doing a good job is because I feel like being a mom is the one job that we don't get any real training for. We get some feedback. when we're not doing things, right. But when we are doing it right, no one is telling us like we're doing a good job. And then, and 2 is one of the hardest jobs, I think, in the whole entire world, above commander in chief. That you are raising the future. You are raising the people who are going to be contributing to society. This is a huge job and a huge undertaking. So I just want to let moms know that you are doing a good job. And yeah, like, I don't want you beating yourself up about it. Cause I know I was in my head about some other things earlier, and I have to remind myself, like, you got this, like, you're good. So just wanted to encourage the moms who are listening that you're doing good and you're an awesome mom.
Oh, great. Great. Love that, because we're all in this together.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite quote that you would like to share with our listeners?
A favorite? Oh, I'm going to butcher this quote. Oh my goodness. I had to find this one, but I'm going to find it for you here.
Okay.
But basically the quote is, oh my goodness, it's so good too. I don't want to mess it up.
Okay. Well, take a minute and you find it while.
Let me find it.
Yeah. Because I want to sort of talk a little bit about the fact that, by going through the journey that you have gone through. And I mean, I think this motherhood is this opportunity for us to grow as human beings as we are, trying to help foster, this healthy development of our own children. We get to then see our own mistakes. We can see our own shortcomings, but we have to have that gentleness on ourselves. And so Sheila always says space and grace, and I like that, for whether it's for ourselves or whether it's for our children, our families. We need to take some deep breaths. We need to give ourselves a pat on the back for what we're doing well. And then we can take that deep breath and think, okay, now how could I do things differently or better in the future, or, getting that feedback from our kids. So I just love everything that you've shared today, Toni-Ann.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I found the quote.
Yay.
It. Yes. So it says, a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because it trusts not in the branch, but in its own wings. Always believe in yourself. And the reason why I love that quote so much is because I think a lot of times we think we have to look to other people to figure things out, but we have within us like what we need. And I think exactly what you need to do, especially when it comes to our kids. So I just love that quote because it reminds me that I got it and I just need to trust in myself. So that's the quote I wanted to share.
Beautiful, beautiful. Who says that? Do you know who?
You know what? It doesn't it says some name, but I don't think this is the right person.
Oh, so we'll have to say anonymous, but
we're going to say anonymous for now, but I'm sure there's someone who said that.
Okay. Well, if the listener says, wait, I know, share with us. But that's so beautiful because basically it's trusting in ourselves, that we have that within ourselves. And that's a beautiful message. So, our listeners are going to want to find out more about you. So where can they find you, Toni-Ann?
Yes. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, you can find me at Real Happy Mom. I am there. And also on social media at Real Happy Mom on all the social platforms.
So I love the name too, because you exemplify that. You just shine this beauty and this joy, beautiful smile. And I can imagine that your whole family is so blessed by the gifts that you bring, and then all the mamas that you work with are so fortunate to have you. So listeners, check out Toni-Ann Mayembe, and I'm so, so pleased to have had you today on our podcast. And so take care until next time.
Thanks for joining us today for the Moms I Know. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get the show notes and resources mentioned in today's episode, visit themomsiknow.com. For information on Maria's programs, visit thefutureoffamily.com. And for information on Sheila's programs, visit purplebeatfamily.com. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes and follow us on Instagram at The Moms I Know Podcast. Until next time, have a joyful family journey.